Hey yo, what the fuck is up? It's your boy. It's your man. It's that guy doing the best he goddamn can. Yeah, I changed my name on Substack because Substack is not a serious place. I change my name a lot. Um, right now it is Fu King Long, which I changed it to because it makes me laugh. Which I think is important. Laughter, uh, because it's like Food King Long. You know, it actually has significant meaning in Chinese, but it also sounds like fucking long, kind of. So I think that's just funny. And like I come up with all these like serious names and like play on words, like, oh, this represents this, and this means this, and blah blah blah. And then eventually I'm always like, what the fuck am I even doing, bro? Like, shit's not that serious. I don't ultimately want to even take life too seriously. I think taking life seriously means not taking life seriously because all wisdom traditions, all enlightenment and shit like that is about being happy and enjoying your life. Remaining grounded through life's ups and downs so you can remain balanced and act accordingly with joy and enjoy breathing and everything like that. So, Fu means like luck, or is a symbol for luck in Chinese, and King Long, if that's a way to say it, is a the blue green dragon, and it is a major deity or figure in Chinese history. I rock with it because it's a Taoist deity, or it's involved in Taoism, Eastern religion, Chinese religion, or Chinese belief and philosophy. I don't really like to call it religion because to call Taoism a religion is kind of disrespectful, or because the word religion has such negative connotations in my mind of dogmatic practices that are more about instilling fear and gaining control, whereas Taoism is about knowing you don't have control, letting go, joining the way, the integral way, understanding the subtle way of nature, being one with nature versus trying to control nature. I don't really like to refer to Taoism as a religion, although I'm sure it has probably been religified. But even to relate to Taoism as a religion, if you take, I don't think anything is necessarily wrong with religion. I just think that the way many people have practiced religion in such a restrictive and control freak, fear based, founded in fear kind of way, is the mistake. Because ultimately, from my research and my reading, all religion is about supposed to be founded in freedom. It's about letting go and knowing that a higher power is in control. So it doesn't make sense to be afraid. It doesn't make sense to not enjoy yourself, and it doesn't make sense not to be appreciative and grateful for this crazy, fantastic life we live, which I can fully admit I can say from a place of privilege because my life is pretty good. Like, that's why you cannot compare your life to other people's, though. Like, because at one point in my life I was very unhappy. I was very depressed and down, and it's taken me, a lot of lessons, relative mistakes that are only ultimate lessons. So the more you just stop seeing things as mistakes and see them as learning opportunities, the more you can enjoy your life and to not let yourself be attached to things going a certain way. Because there is no certain way. There is no guarantee of something happening. And that's the issue that a lot of us have is that we think life is gonna follow some kind of formula based on society's idea that you can control the uncontrollable, which is the higher power. So once you let go of the idea that you can control a power that has been here before you, will be here after you, is in everything and everyone, and also in nothing and no one, life becomes a lot more peaceful. You can enjoy yourself a lot more. You can laugh a lot more. You can stop trying to hold yourself together, expecting to be in control. Um, really, on a physical level, a lot of people have poor habits physically, which can't help but reflect it and have poor habits mentally, since the physical and the mental are both the same basically. They're both connected by the nervous system. Within our body, we only have a finite amount of energy. So if you're using that energy to remain tense in your musculature, then you don't have as much brain power. And if you're using that energy to remain tense in your mind, you don't have as much ability to use your muscles, because they're both bounded within the nervous system. We have limited energy, we have limited blood flow. Everything in the body operates off of energy and blood flow. So if you're tense or you're thinking out of control or whatever, of course the energy and blood flow are getting taken away from something else. So that's why the key to life, if they're, proverbially speaking, is balance, because balance allows energy and blood to flow where it is appropriate and most beneficial in the present moment. But if you are wrapped up in this idea of control, then energy and blood cannot flow naturally within your body, and you end up, tense, fearful, end up not grounded, not balanced in a place to enjoy your life. And it's important to be balanced, to be grounded. I like to think of balance as being grounded because um, the way I look at being grounded is releasing all tension. Like if you're standing and you're grounded, it means your feet are relaxed, your muscles are relaxed. Your muscles are as relaxed as possible, but you're still stable and balanced. You're giving as much responsibility to the ground, as much responsibility to nature, as much force to the ground, as much force to nature as possible in order to lessen your load, because the body is designed to be energy efficient. So that means as much load, as much force as we can give to the ground, as relaxed as we can be, or as relaxed as we can have our muscles be, we are the most energy efficient. And that same thing extends to your mind. The more relaxed your mind can be, the less tense your mind is, the more energy efficient you can be. So I like grounded, balanced, energy efficient. It's all the same thing. And when you are in these states, balanced, grounded, energy efficient, then you can make the appropriate decision for the present moment. But when you're attached, attachment is the root of all suffering. Attachment leads to fear. If you're attached to things going a certain way, things looking a certain way, things being confined to your idea of what is supposed to happen, and with your ideas usually being society's ideas that you have adopted either consciously or unconsciously, because you place more faith in what is man-made versus what is God-given, or part of nature, or what is not man-made, then you are ultimately disconnected within yourself, attached to ideas and concepts that become prisons, they become boxes. Now, if life does not occur in the way that I think it is supposed to, in the way that I've conceptualized it should be, now I am going to be knocked off balance. I'm going to suffer for it. I'm going to have a bad time because I am not open to change, which life is change. So I'm not open to life. If you're not open to life and you're closed off, then of course you're going to be off balance. Of course you're going to suffer. Of course you're going to suffer negative consequences from creating a reality that is not true. Creating a reality does not align with life's basic principles, which is everything is transient, everything is destined to change, nothing stays the same. So being attached to things going a certain way ultimately doesn't make sense. It is ultimately a very unnatural way to view life. But it makes sense that many humans have this way of viewing life because we live in very unnatural society. We adopt unnatural ways of perceiving life. We adopt unnatural ideas and concepts. That therefore we reduce life to being solely man-made without acknowledging the higher power, the source, the universe, the truth, God, Allah, whatever you want to call it, the Tao. Without acknowledging that place beyond words, that place beyond ideas and concepts, that place beyond what is man-made, what man cannot make, what man cannot control. Of course, we're going to not be open to life. We're going to perceive life in a restrictive way when life by its very nature is unrestricted. It is unexplainable. It is unconfinable within these boxes that man creates. All man does is come around and categorize things or make up words in order to explain things. But ultimately, no matter how many ways you explain something, it's already happening. Like, the light shines. We can say, oh, it's photons and certain frequencies getting moved through wavelengths through the air and blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, the light shines. So to be attached to man-made categories or man-made ideas and concepts that just increasingly are just man's ways to try and make nature make sense, and ignoring the fact that nature exists, and ultimately it does not make sense for nature to even exist in the way it does, because so many things had to go right, so many things had to line up, so many seemingly random or seemingly coincidental things had to come together for life to occur. To ignore that and be attached to man-made concepts that just are attempts to explain that, of course you're gonna be hurt. You're going to not view life in its totality. Now, there's nothing wrong with man trying to explain these things, or man coming up with concepts and ideas or anything like that in order to make sense of life, and it's very useful. But it's only as useful as you understand that it's basically for fun. It's basically nonsense. you know like, you don't have to have all these scientific words and ideas and concepts to know that when I eat this apple, my body feels good. When I eat these vegetables, my body responds well. When I'm tired and drink water, it's good. Like when I'm dehydrated and thirsty and drink, my body responds well. That's natural. All the downstream scientific explanations for this stuff is fundamentally nonsense. It's fundamentally just for shits and giggles. You know, And that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong with ignoring the fact that man made logic cannot contain or explain what is not man made at the end of the day. You know, that's why to be attached to the world of man made logic, to be attached to ideas and concepts, is to be in a perpetual competition, a perpetual push and pull, and no, I'm right, and no, you're wrong, and all of those competitions that are unnatural that end up in unhappiness, the waste of energy, and fear and ego. It's from a place of ego. The idea of being important, the idea of I need to come up with some reason or explanation or formula to explain life. Like, you don't know. You really don't know what the fuck is gonna happen, like, in the future. And the more you try to act like you should know or you do know, the more you're gonna be knocked on your ass when something inevitably happens that was outside the realm of your perception. You know, to think you can reduce life to your limited human perspective is very egotistical, and we could call it very arrogant. It doesn't really make sense when you put it under scrutiny. It does not make sense, you know, beyond uh, being attached to man-made ideas of what a human is supposed to do and what a human is meant to do. And I think that we have stepped out of flow with life because we have created a society based around egotistical ideas of what it means to be human. Unnatural ideas, in my opinion. I think that fundamentally humans are in lockstep with the way, the Tao, God, and then we get taught to move out of balance, out of harmony. And that is the issue. And that is the process of enlightenment, basically, is letting go of all of these lessons and ideas and concepts, letting go of the attachment to them. We don't have to let go of the ideas and concepts. They could be perfectly useful, and they are perfectly useful. But as long as we're attached to them and we don't understand the ultimate reality that it's all for fun, it's all nonsense, it's all this man-made explanations for something we can never explain or understand, as long as we're attached to them being the end-all be-all of the human experience, and we never go to that place beyond words, that place beyond ideas and concepts, we're going to have a hard time of life, even when our life is we have a lot of things to be grateful for or appreciate. We're not going to do that because nothing's ever going to be enough. We're always going to undermine our happiness with should. Oh, I should be doing this, or some idea or concept like, oh, I'm this kind of person, or I have this kind of power, blah, 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 or whatever. It's all ego. And like a lot of people think of ego as like pride or arrogance, but it's really just centering yourself in a way that doesn't make sense. you know it like doesn't make sense to center yourself in a way that ignores the uncontrollable powers of the universe. It is putting too much pressure on yourself. Ultimately, it's like putting pressure on yourself to have control that is impossible for you to have. Like, you literally cannot have this type of control that your ego is telling you that you should have. And of course, you will ultimately only be able to be afraid, generally speaking. You'll be unable to try things, experiment, enjoy your life. You will still wonder from yourself, because instead of being like, I wonder what's going to happen, I'm full of curiosity about where life is going to take me and what'll happen, in this grand experiment called life, where so many things are out of my control, and I can just do my best to move in a way that I feel is beneficial, and I just have to be full of wonder and awe about what's going to happen. Instead, you'll be full of fear. There will be no faith. There will be no wonder. It's all for, oh God, I don't know what's going to happen. Oh man, I just, but it's like fundamentally, intellectually, we know that we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, we're still full of fear. Yeah, we're still afraid. Which is not a problem with life. Many people try to make it a problem with life, but it is like a personal perspective. It's a personal issue with our perspective. It's a personal issue with our ability to let go, you know. And like people will try to undermine that fact, that universal and ultimate truth. It's like, yeah, but people are doing bad things and it's fucked up and blah, blah, blah. No, all that is still true. Like, it's all you. But the thing is like once you let go of your attachment to ideas about right and wrong, then you can go to that place beyond words. You can get in harmony with the Tao, in harmony with the higher power, and you can actually know, you can actually feel what is ultimately right and wrong rather than relatively right and wrong. Ultimately, it is wrong to purposely make decisions that do not benefit life, that do not benefit the preservation of energy, the preservation of nature, the preservation of people. Ultimately, those things are not right. You know, so if you always start from the place of ultimate truth, which is I need to preserve as much life, benefit myself, benefit others, because me and others are not separate. We're all part of the human race, part of the human community. I need to benefit this ultimate truth as much as possible and not harm or cut off the natural flow of energy as much as possible in my decision making, which means being nice, being kind, having positive energy flow and stuff like that. Then your relative decisions will be easier to make because you'll know they'll make sense of, in the ultimate sense, I am making decisions that lead to more joy, life, positivity, and benefit for everyone and everything, you know. And the dangerous thing about religion is that people use the idea of a higher power in a very egotistical way instead of surrendering to God or nature or the higher power of the universe. They use religion in an attempt to control God or be God, and then they justify their decisions to hurt people, to hurt nature, to make decisions that are ultimately not beneficial for everyone or everything, but beneficial for them on a selfish, personal level. And then they get to act like they're some kind of good person, you know. And because a lot of people are attached to man-made logic, they're attached to society's bullshit logic based in fear, control, and ego, narcissistic behavior, and all of these things. They'll make excuses for these dickheads doing this dickhead bullshit, being assholes. Because they operate from the ego, they operate from a place of fear and attachment. They are insecure and don't believe that they have worth. So they want to get in these positions and they want to be allowed to be the dickhead. And it's sad. But it's a sickness, really. It's a disease. It's like something that we have to actively heal from. It's really trauma. It's really abuse. Society way of depicting life in depicting what it means to be human is ultimately a form of abuse. Society is like the ultimate gaslighter because it confines you to egotistic, restrictive ideas and concepts, formulas, knowing that these formulas are, or maybe society is not, you can't personify it, say, oh, it knows, but however society is manifested, it creates this egotistical way of looking at life, this fearful ego, this fearful desire for control, this fear of trusting yourself, this fear of trusting the universe, this fear of trusting your pure intentions. And people don't know the difference between doing some bad shit on purpose and making an honest mistake. You know, they don't understand why they should be kind to other people or be part of the community, or be just believe in themselves and showing up authentically. They don't believe in those things because society's reinforcement of egotistical views, egotistical ways of relating to life, they put you in a bind as soon as you agree to them on a personal level. And it's like you might not even agree to these things consciously because we're born into the proverbial matrix. We're born into this society that forces us to conform, instills fear in us, unnatural fear, you know, like fear that has nothing to do with life or death situation, fear that has nothing to do with most times with survival, but fear that has to do with not appearing a certain way or not being accepted by other people who are relating to life out of fear and insecurity the same way you are. So it's just a bunch of fearful, insecure people judging each other, which is why letting go of that attachment to all the bullshit, the rat race, the hamster wheel, that's when you actually start to find a level of peace and belief and trust in your authenticity. Like, because it doesn't make any fucking sense to be to be like first centering yourself so much that it's like other people's opinions that you don't control fuck you up. They make you feel bad about yourself when ultimately, like, it's not even personal. This person is just judging you out of their own egotistical views of life and their own. It's like people will always project their fears and their beliefs onto you. And if you are insecure and you you're attached to outside validation, instead of being able to see this as information about how you're perceived or information about how this person perceives the world, see it as kind of data kind of thing, you attach to this, you attach to their judgment, and now you're judging yourself based on how they judged you, and they're judging you based on how they judged yourself. So it's all just dumb as hell. Like, it's one big clusterfuck of fear, insecurity, and ego being passed around, cycling through society because society and our lives cause many of us to be unaware, many of us to be unconscious, you know. And there's a good unconscious and there's a bad unconscious. Like, there's a good unaware and there's bad unaware. Well, I don't know if I would say there's a good unaware, but so, ultimately we are all in lockstep with the universe in some way. We cannot operate outside of the universe's provisions for us. Everything is made by God. Everything is made by the universe. It is part of the universe. Everything is part of this life. We cannot operate outside of that. We cannot control that no matter what we do. So, we can either be conscious of this fact or unconscious of this fact. If we are conscious that we cannot control life, then we can let go. So if we are conscious that we don't control life, we can either be conscious out of fear or out of faith. So if we are conscious of this and we are doing this out of fear, then we'll be full of suffering. Life will be tough, life will be hard, it'll be fucked up. But if we are conscious of this lack of control out of faith, that means we can let go, release this pressure that we put on ourselves to be in control, and we can find joy. All right. So if you are unconscious of life, then that we cannot operate outside of life. There's no way for us to be in control. If you are unconscious of this, then you can either be unconscious of this out of fear or out of faith. And if you are unconscious of this and you are doing it out of fear, then you're going to be full of suffering. Life's going to be fucked up. You're going to keep finding yourself in cycles, just like the conscious fear. The unconscious fear is going to leave you in a bad place. But if you are unconscious of this lack of control of life, but you're unconscious out of faith, that means you don't have to think about life and waste energy on thinking about things in a detrimental way. Like if you're basically enlightened. You're in a constant state of flow. You unconsciously make decisions based on your gut, and your gut makes decisions based on its feelings and your knowledge, like your knowledge of logic and how the world works and everything. You can make these decisions out of this flow state unconsciously from a place of faith and believe that good things will happen and believe in positive things that's going to happen. So, it's just, how do we relate to life? That is going to be the way, that we are on, the way that we follow, the beliefs that we have, the energy that we put out. How do we relate to life? Out of wonder, out of faith, out of fear? Are we aware? Are we unaware? Can we feel? Like when I talk about the place beyond words, the place beyond man-made ideas and concepts, for me, a lot of that comes down to like feeling. Like literally, I can put words on a feeling, but I cannot explain the feeling. The words are just, it's subjective representations of something that the body does. So I think a lot of it is like becoming comfortable with your feelings, becoming aware of your feelings, accepting all of your feelings. And then once you are able to accept your feelings, and for me, I had to go through the concepts and the words of like, oh, there's nothing wrong with my feelings. I'm allowed to feel my feelings. Relative mistakes are ultimate lessons. And once I got to words and concepts that made sense to me and helped me let go of fear and let go of attachments, now I'm trying to get to the feeling directly. Instead of being like, relax, or have the, like, oh, this is okay, it's fine, blah, 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 and using those words, which is fine, and which I still do, now my practice is getting directly to the feeling of relaxation. What does it feel like when my body is relaxed? What does it feel like when I'm grounded and balanced? What does it feel like when I've let go of attachments, or I've let go of this idea that things should go a certain way or things should follow a certain formula. What is the feeling of that? What is the feeling of being at peace, grounded, and balanced? You know, what is the feeling of being in flow? What is the feeling of being in harmony with the universe, in harmony with the Tao? I'm trying to, because words are man made, concepts are man made. I don't want my life to be restricted to what is man made. I want to be in touch with the ultimate. I don't want, and by being in touch with the ultimate, all the relative, if I'm in touch with the ultimate truth, all the relative's truths will fall in line. Like, for instance, when I'm writing, if I can write from that feeling of flow, write from that feeling of harmony with the universe, write from that space beyond words, then because I'm living a natural life, because I'm naturally in flow, naturally in harmony, naturally in sync, naturally connected with my feelings inside of me, all the words that come out are going to make sense. If I'm in touch with the ultimate truth, all of the words and ideas and concepts I use to from that place of being in sync with the ultimate truth are going to make sense. And I don't have to worry about the words that come out. I can just let them come out as they're supposed to. It's like if you speak from the heart, if you really speak from the feeling of connection, of authenticity, and with no fear of how you're being interpreted, no fear of being accepted, but you're really speaking from somewhere deep inside you. Your body and your unconscious brain has a lot more processing power than your conscious brain. So it's like being in that state of flow when you're speaking or writing or creating or any artistic craft, any part of life. Our living is an art. So when you're in touch with that flow, you're in touch with that authenticity, that sense of acceptance, automatic acceptance, that sense of really living from the core of your being, then you are always going to use the most beneficial or optimal knowledge that you have of the relative truth and the relative concepts. So there's no need to really worry about it. And that is what's going to teach you the most about who you are and what you believe, is when you stop relating to your feelings and your core and your heart, and out of fear trying to control what you create, and rather let things be created through you, through your connection with the ultimate truth. So at least that's how I look at it. That's kind of how I view it. And hopefully that makes sense to you. But if you have any questions, I feel free to, I don't know, fucking like hit me up or like email me. Like, I love talking about this type of shit. You feel me? So hope you have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Really, truly enjoy life, man. Like, we really supposed to enjoy life. There's always shit going on outside of control. It's always like weirdo, unnatural bullshit going on too, man, which we can see, accept, and still look to make changes of that. And like, it's easier to get things off of fire if you're not on fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, you make better decisions when you're calm, collected, grounded, and balanced. That doesn't mean you're apathetic. It means that you are not attached, because it doesn't make any sense to be attached, because ultimately you don't have control. But since you're not attached, you can do everything within your power to try and help. That makes sense for you. And only you know what makes sense for you and how you can help. But if you're attached to a certain idea or concept of how you should help, then are you really... there's no reason to live with this sense of foreboding, pressure, and fear. And we unnaturally stress ourselves out and overthink and give ourselves anxiety, for ultimately the reasons that don't make sense. It doesn't make sense to overly stress yourself or overthink, because it doesn't make sense scientifically or philosophically. Scientifically, it doesn't make sense because we make our best decisions from a place of flow, from a place of calm, balance, groundedness, when we are connected within, in our creative sense, our gut feeling, our intuition can harmonize with our knowledge of the world, our knowledge of concepts and everything, and this the higher power, the harmonies, and the man-made concepts can come together to create the best, most creative decisions. And also philosophically, it doesn't really make sense to stress ourselves out because we're not in control. We're not in control of other people. We're not in control of what happens. Like, we don't know what will occur. Nature is always doing its own thing. So in no sense of the word, it doesn't make sense. Also, like, when you are, it doesn't make sense scientifically to be stressed out and tense because you make worse decisions and you waste more energy. You're not as energy efficient. So if all of life is about energy efficiency, sustainability of your life, like your literally ability to stay alive, and your energy is a major aspect of that. It doesn't make sense to be in a state of anxiety and stress and fear all the time outside of the times when it saves your life, when it's necessary. And really, we've created all of these places. Like, we've made up all of these man-made ideas and concepts that we attach to. And now when these man-made ideas or concepts don't go the way we want them to, don't go the way we would control them to, now we get fucked up for it. So, none of it makes any sense, really. So, enjoy yourself. Enjoying yourself makes sense. Enjoying your life makes sense. Being happy makes sense. Being relaxed, calm, grounded, and balanced, that actually makes the most sense. Letting go of these man-made attachment ideas and concepts, that actually makes the most sense. So, like, do it make sense? Alright, have a good day. Have a great day. Have an enjoyable day. And have an enjoyable present moment. Enjoy the present moment right now. Let go of the stress in your jaw, shoulders, gut, hips, feet, all that shit. Give up all that tension to nature. Give up all that tension to the ground. Ground yourself. Balance yourself. Like, don't hold all this shit. It's not your burden to bear. Like, it's some bullshit society has heaped upon you. And once you become aware of that, you can let go of it. Of course, there's going to be habits in your nervous system that keep coming back. But every time they come back, if you're aware and accept that they come back, you can let go again. You accept those feelings, then you can let go. You accept those feelings, you can let go of them. You're aware of those feelings, you can let go of them. And then over time, because our body is primed for knowledge, our body is primed to learn, you will get better and better at letting go of those things. You'll get better and better at letting go of stress. You'll get better and better at letting go of tension. You'll get better and better at letting go of attachment. Till one day, you'll be a master at it. And those things don't even happen. Like, you don't even, because you have learned to let go of it, your body realizes, oh, it's a waste of my energy to even think these thoughts or attach these things or do these things. All of a sudden, the times that it happens, that stress and tension just become less and less. All because you have built up your proverbial muscle physically, mentally. You have built up your relaxation muscle. You have built up your relaxation mind. You have built up your balancing mind, your balancing muscles. So you just remain on balance. You just remain grounded. You just remain relaxed. That is learning in that type of way. Repetitively doing something, the body has no choice but to learn. So if you repetitively relax, you repetitively let go, you repetitively return to a sense of grounding, a sense of balance, understanding ultimately it does not make sense to not be relaxed, to not be grounded, to not be balanced in a world that is out of our control. And you'll just continue to get better at it. Your nervous system will have no choice but to learn that. And then you'll be able to make better decisions, enjoy your life more. Like, things will make more sense. Like, stop comparing your life to that of others, from a negative place or a positive place, whatever. Like, let's, and then once you enjoy your life and you learn to relax, be calm, and realize that you are worthy of enjoying your life, then you can spread that enjoyment to other people. People within your immediate atmosphere, people within your immediate life will feel that energy, will notice that energy, that sense of calm, that sense of grounding, that sense of balance. You'll be a positive influence on them, on your immediate community. And then you can expand your community and become a positive influence on more and more people. And because you are detached, you have let go, you're relaxed, you're grounded, you're balanced more often. When you expand your community and start dealing with more people and more energies and stuff like that, you'll be in a place to remain you, remain authentic, to remain detached from the idea of controlling these people or showing up a certain way or feeling like you have to be inauthentic to be accepted and everything like that. So to me, that's like the process of enlightenment. And then engage Buddhism, engage philanthropy, engaged just being a good fucking person. Like, you don't need a religion to be a good fucking person. Like, yeah, you need some ways of thinking and some ways of relating to life, but it doesn't mean that you are being dogmatic. Like, there are saints who are atheists. There are saints who are agnostic. There are saints who are in a different belief system than you are because they use it to enjoy life, let go of control, believe in the higher power, have faith, and help people. So it doesn't fucking matter how you get to a place of kindness and the ability to help people and authenticity and faith. Just do that shit. You know, I know what works for me. You know, I know the ideas and concepts and the studying I did that worked for me. But who gives a fuck how it happens? You know, just allow that shit to happen. You know what I'm saying? Make the choice to be full of faith, fun, flow, kindness, you know, balance, groundedness, you know, love for yourself, for everything else, for everything we're connected to. We're not separate, you know. But hope you guys enjoy your fucking life. Enjoy that shit, man. Shit. God. Fuck. All right, bye. So real quick, just because I want to give people some actionable things to, you know, hopefully help release tension. One thing is if you Google the nervous system and you look in the spinal cord where the parasympathetic and sympathetic nerves are, you'll notice that the parasympathetic nerves are present in your brainstem and neck and then also in your tailbone. So I say that to say why it makes sense that people say that tension in your jaw shows up as tension in your hips, because these two areas are where you have your parasympathetic nerves. If you are tense, with your parasympathetic nervous system being the one that relaxes you, and the sympathetic nervous system being the one that winds you up, puts you in fight or flight, then noticing when you have tension in your jaw or tension in your hips, tension in your waist, tension near your belly button, noticing these two things and releasing those two areas can help you gain more of a sense of relaxation and let go of tension. And this is inevitably has a positive effect on your mind because muscular tension affects your mind. They're both connected by the nervous system. Another actionable thing I would say is when you are standing, feel whether you are grounded or not. Are your feet relaxed? Can you feel the ground not only in your feet, relaxed feet, but can you feel the ground in your hips? Are your hips settled? Are you accepting the ground, or you have little places of tension in your feet where you're actually never on balance? You're actually stiff and only maintaining stability because you are introducing excess tension into your ankles and feet, which inevitably means excess tension in your knees and excess tension in your hips, which is where the nerves in your feet originate at, in your tailbone and lower back. Really, when you're standing, you should be thinking about relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your hips, relaxing your knees. Your knees probably shouldn't be locked out. Shouldn't be having excess tension on your knees. You need to find a balance point, a place of being grounded, a place of releasing your attention and allowing nature, allowing the ground to support you. That allows you to remain stable, not out of excess force, but out of anatomically correct standing positions. And this same principle applies to all of life. Let go of control, let go of stiffness and tension that you think is holding you stable, but it's really slowly killing you. And once you let go of that control, you can find a natural place of balance that is actually the place of grounding and balance that makes way more sense for you to operate within, not only from an ease of movement, ease of thinking, ease of deciding, but also a more energy efficient way of being where you're not overly reliant on tension and stress to get things done. All right, I hope that works for you. That's how I look at it. It works for me. And I continue to practice these things in the present moment as often as possible, raising my awareness, raising my acceptance of my feeling, acceptance of this tension, awareness of the tension, so I can let go of it, detach of it, and get back to being relaxed, grounded, balanced, as we were designed to be, in which we get distracted from or lose because we pick up these tensions, get attached to ideas and concepts, attached to standing a certain way, attached to thinking a certain way by society. All right, enjoy your day.